After the Lakeside cabin incident, I thought the HOA might finally realize that my property was not theirs to dictate. I was wrong. The next act of sheer audacity came in the form of one of their so-called enforcement teams bulldozing a river bridge on my property. Apparently, the HOA had decided that the bridge posed a community hazard and that it needed to be removed, without consulting me, the owner. I first learned of the destruction when my ranch hands called, panicked, reporting the bridge had been flattened overnight. This bridge was crucial. It connected my main road to a section of the property that included grazing lands, storage facilities, and a critical water management area. Its sudden destruction was not just inconvenient, it was a direct threat to my operations. I drove to the site immediately. The scene was chaotic. Broken timbers, twisted metal, and tire tracks leading directly from the HOA office. Karen and a few other HOA members were standing at the edge of the river, looking smug, as if they had performed some great civic service. I calmly stepped out of my truck, surveying the damage, while Ranger barked in frustration. At first, I considered legal action. A lawsuit would take months, perhaps years, and while it would likely end in my favor, it felt inadequate for the scale of their audacity. Then, a more creative idea struck me. The homes of the HOA members were downstream, perched on the riverbanks, their foundations a little too close to the water. With careful planning, I realized I could leverage the same hydraulic principles that made the river bridge so valuable. Over the next few days, I worked meticulously. I rerouted minor channels, adjusted sluices, and used controlled water flow to prepare the area. When the rains came, the water levels rose strategically. Within a short time, the river's course gently, but unmistakably shifted, flooding the lawns and basements of the HOA's lakeside mansions. I monitored the process carefully, ensuring no one was in danger while making a clear point. Tampering with private property carries consequences. The response was immediate chaos. HOA members scrambled to protect their homes, calling for emergency services and legal intervention. Karen, of course, tried to blame me for the flood, but the irony was unmistakable. Their initial act of bulldozing a privately owned bridge had triggered a natural consequence that directly impacted their own property. Every neighbor who had once mocked my vigilance now understood the full scope of property rights and repercussions. I sent a polite notice detailing the events, citing property law, and clarifying that future interference would be met with both legal and strategic consequences. The bridge was rebuilt on my terms, stronger and more secure, ensuring that any future unauthorized tampering would be impossible. Ranger patrolled the area, now more vigilant than ever, a silent sentinel over the reclaimed territory. By the time the floodwaters receded, the lesson had been made crystal clear. The HOA had underestimated the combination of ownership, preparation, and strategic thinking. Their audacity had backfired spectacularly, costing them both property and credibility. That evening, as the sun set over the now-repaired bridge and the gently flowing river, I reflected on the sequence of events. Each act of arrogance by the HOA had been met with consequences carefully calibrated to reinforce boundaries and assert ownership. Karen and her cronies had learned, yet again, that interfering with my property was not just unwise, it was costly. From that day forward, the bridge stood intact, my lands were secure, and the HOA approached my property with a level of respect that bordered on fear. Ranger and I walked along the riverbank, the water sparkling in the sunset, and I knew that in the ongoing saga of my ranch versus the HOA, justice had once again been served, strategically, effectively, and unmistakably.